might be able to turn it on. I might not be able to. Yeah. Well, then I'll echo. You know what? It's the first one. Welcome to Speed Bumps. You feel like poop. You feel like poop. I haven't slept in like
Okay, I'm
5
just
days.
looking at
We're
my
great.
phone. Okay.
We are living our
Whew.
best lives.
Mm-hmm. We are fantastic. Fantastic, but excited to
And now we know how to do it.
do this
And
live.
our February pick, which I haven't even started. Have you started Giovanni's Room?
No, I'm going to maybe start this weekend,
Okay.
when I've got dedicated time.
Yeah.
So I just kind of want to sit down with it like
Okay.
I did to Paradise. So that's what I want to do.
Did you finish To Paradise?
No, I stopped. Where did I stop at? Part 3, book 3?
Okay, that's where I am. So
Yeah, and I don't plan on picking it back up until, I don't know, sometime next week, maybe Monday or something.
I'll get back to it at some point.
Yeah,
But
definitely before the month,
yeah.
ends or whatever. So
I just feel bad because I feel like, well, this live is gonna be structured just like a regular ass episode. You guys get to be here with us, like we're really recording an episode. If there's anybody even out there in the world, I
yeah,
don't think there is anybody, but it's all right. It's good. You can't see our screw ups.
it's all good. It's all good. So, but I am excited to start Giovanni's Room. Like really excited. I've been
Yeah,
wanting to
I
read
can
that
tell
one for
you're
a long
not feeling
time.
well. You're really like
I feel
muted today.
terrible. I feel absolutely terrible.
I'm sorry.
So I'm hoping that I get some good night's sleep and I'm gonna wake up and feel better. But right now I do feel pretty awful. I felt bad since like 11 o'clock this morning.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. But we're here.
We are
So
here. We are here. And so we are obviously here to discuss the cabinet. But before we get into the cabinet, what are you reading?
let me tell you something. This
It's
week,
not good when you start like that.
no, this is great. It's just, this is my sick. Let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something. This week, it was just today is Wednesday. It
Mm-hmm.
was, it was Tuesday. Oof,
Mm-hmm.
the days. No, I'm sorry, back that up. I started Black Cake, I think last week,
Oh, I still have to read that.
and I finished it yesterday, which was Tuesday. I loved this book. So let me try to break it down without spoiling anything because
Yeah,
there's
please
quite a
don't spoil
bit
anything because
to
I
be
am getting there.
spoiled.
Yeah.
So let me be very careful here. So you've got a family who is a bit frayed.
Mm-hmm.
The daughter who is not following the family plan of, going to college and, having a, top-notch career. She's instead wanted to, do something else involving, food and whatnot, really following her passion. And she is somewhat estranged from her family. She hasn't talked to her brother in years. She hasn't talked to her father in years.
Mm-hmm.
The father and the brother thought that she had not been communicating with their mom, but they've been somewhat in touch here and there, leaving voice messages for one another. So, not exactly a close bond, but they've been in contact. And the mom dies. That's not a spoiler. And when it's time for them to meet up with the attorney who the mom was basically working with to get all her affairs in order, secrets are revealed. And they are big secrets. And it's not just one, it's like 3, 4 big, huge, life changing secrets. So I'm not gonna spoil that. But what I really, really loved about this book was the friendship in this book. Friendship is a big theme in this book. So is love, like just deep, abiding love and loyalty. I thought it was really beautiful. The mother had such, I don't want to say horrific, but like she really went through a lot of struggles as she was growing up. And I just felt such a deep empathy for her and all that she's lost. And the relationship between her and her husband was just so beautiful. It almost made you want to cry. But also, they had this small group of friends that were so tight and so loyal. And it was just, you would hope to have friends like that. You would hope to have friends like that. So the story centers around all of that, and families find themselves, a way back to one another, the siblings, and working through the grief of losing their mother. That's all I can say because I there's so many things to be spoiled and I'm
Yeah.
not going to do that, but this book was absolutely phenomenal. I loved it so much.
Well, it was on my anticipated reads list, and I was super excited because that was on my list. Yinka, Where's Your Husband, which I think you've read too, and
I'm still
Fiona and
halfway in.
Jane, or Jane and Fiona, whichever way around they
Mhm.
go, were all on my anticipated reads list, and I think they were all, book of the month picks in some capacity in
Yeah,
January. So I was
they
super
sure
psyched to
were.
get those. So I'm getting to them eventually because I'm trying to actually get to most of my TBR that I made in
Mhm.
for February because I really want to read all those books, and we didn't get to WED Boys in December. We didn't get to 1619 in December, and I really want to try to get them
Yeah, we should start it next
done
week for
because they're
sure.
supposed to be so good. I feel like I've waited
Yeah.
too long, but I've been so distracted because I forgot that February is also House of Sky and Breath, and
Oh.
I am a hoe for this series. I'm not like the biggest Sarah J. Maas fan, but like she's fine, but this series, like whatever she's
Yeah.
doing with urban fantasy and the adult space, I'm here for it. Like I'm loving this progression from like her earlier works to here and how much I'm loving this. I'm 10 chapters in.
Oh.
I've been because I just started it today. It arrived yesterday because it's Wednesday today, obviously.
Mhm.
If you're watching this live, and it arrived on Tuesday, and I worked. I've been really tired and out of it, and um, I'm just trying to read as much as I can before I
Yeah.
just zonk out for the day because I'm so tired. But I've decided I'm going to try to do like not spoiler free thoughts in my Instagram stories throughout instead of doing a reading vlog this time because I
Mhm.
did a reading vlog for Crescent City, but I feel like it's weird to do a reading vlog for like book 2 in a series.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like so, and I know other people are gonna do them, so like
Oh,
somebody
of
else can do
course.
those reading vlogs. But like I feel like it'd just be fun to like the random thoughts that
Mhm.
pop up. So I've been keeping like a running note. So stay tuned for
I love
random
that.
thoughts as I'm reading.
I
Um,
love that.
without any spoilers, just like zero context, like what the fuck comments throughout,
Right.
randomly sprinkled throughout while I'm reading. But yeah, I really want to get to Black Cake because it just sounded like the synopsis sounded so good, and you talking about it just
It's
solidifies that like I was right to anticipate that read. Yeah,
yeah, I can find nothing wrong with this book. I can
yeah,
find nothing wrong with it. I really, really loved it.
that makes
So
me so
I'm
excited
glad I got it
for it.
too. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and
This is a
then
debut, right?
yeah, I believe so. And then how are you liking Yinka? Where's Your Husband?
Well, I started it in January and I haven't gone back to it yet. I got totally distracted.
Is that an
So
answer or is that just a
I'm gonna
statement of fact?
I mean, I'm not even far enough in to really give an opinion. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I'm gonna try to finish. I don't want to carry it into March.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna try my best to finish that this month as well.
yeah,
So I there are just some other things I want to start next month. So I don't want a whole lot of carryover,
yeah,
especially from January.
yeah.
So let's get them together, girl. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm
I'm
gonna
just
do.
trying not to add anything else because like this is chunky. We're in the middle of To Paradise, which is chunky. Like almost everything is. I have 3 or 4 700-page books now in the month, which is
Yeah.
those are big books.
Yeah, because
Um,
in addition to our W.E.B. Du Bois and To Paradise and 1619, I did want to start Nemesis Games, which is book 5 in the Expanse series.
I'm not
And
starting that
I
until my audiobook hold comes, and
and
that's
I
my only saving grace that it's
mine
not
is
here yet.
here. Mine's
It's
here.
not
And
here
I
yet.
did want to start Fires of Heaven, which is book what? Book 5
March.
of Wheel of
To
Time.
me, that's March. Wheel of Time, I'll pick back up in March because I don't want to get distracted from. I
Yeah.
feel like I sat on those 2 books for way too long, and it's a shame because I know that they're going to be really good, and I just
Mhm.
need to read them. And I don't want to wait on the new Sarah J. Maas because eventually there will be spoilers,
Oh,
and
you
that's
know it.
kind of like the hard thing with these culty kind of books is that like
Mhm.
literally I feel like the entire internet is reading it right now, and I know they're
Yeah.
not. It's not the entire
No,
internet,
but
but
it feels like
that's what
that.
it feels like.
It sure
And
isn't a small number of people reading it. It's a very
yeah,
large number of people reading it.
yeah, especially, people who follow, like I follow them, they follow me, mutuals and stuff. Like, of course we have similar tastes and things, and we're gonna, um So I just kind of want to get it out of the way so that nobody can spoil
I
anything for
hear that.
me.
I hear
Yeah.
that.
So I'm really excited for that one. So
So what
so
are you
far,
reading,
so
or what
far
did
I'm
you just
liking it.
finish?
Hmm.
So what are you reading, or what did you just finish?
Oh, that's what I'm reading.
Oh, okay. See, that's how bad
See,
I
you don't
feel.
feel good. You
I
don't feel
don't feel
good.
good.
I don't know what
Folks,
I
bear with
just.
me.
If there's anything I just finished, I don't even know if I know. I did just buy Hemi cake mix to make him a birthday cake because he'll be 13
Oh,
next week.
that's so cute.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
big
at the end of the
number.
show, at the end of today's show, I'm going to recommend a book that I read last week.
Oh,
That's
good.
what
I'm
I'm
gonna
going to do.
recommend something I read last year, I think, and I think maybe I've read it. I think maybe I've recommended it before, but we're gonna recommend it again. Um, because it's here and that's what I saw, and I feel like telling people to read it again. But I did finish another Jinju Ito, in case anybody cares.
You
My
are
current
loving.
obsession, and it was Uzumaki, and it was just weird and wonderful. And I was reading at the doctor's office, and he came in and he's like, "What are you reading?" I was like, "Well,
Let me tell
I
you.
have problems, and so this is Japanese horror manga, and let's show you some pictures, and you can judge my mental state." Like,
Jeez.
but it's good. The town is plagued by spirals, which sounds innocuous, but it's not.
I have got to check and see if my library has any of his books.
You
That's what I
need to
have to
try
do.
it, or at
But I'll
least.
do it. I'll do it next month. I won't do it this month because that'll distract me. I'll do it
Mm-hmm.
definitely next month for sure.
And Tomei finally arrived. So of the stuff I have left, I have two left that I haven't read, and that's Tomei and No Longer Human. And then I'm gonna have to save up some dough and order other things like from the rest of his catalog.
Okay, I can dig it.
Yeah,
I can dig it.
yeah. So are we on to the main event?
We are on for the main event. Come
Yeah.
on, brain, don't let me down. Let me remember things.
Well, I've actually gone through and I was reading some reviews. So the main event is our discussion of the cabinet by Unsu Kim, and I did try to find us some discussion questions to make this easier for ourselves, but they don't exist. So
That's fine.
so this
This
was
was.
a strange little book, but
It
I
really was.
really enjoyed it.
It was
And I
very strange.
and I found it interesting how many people really loved the book, and then how many people loved the book until the second half or the latter
Oh.
half,
Oh, really?
where it moves from the vignettes about all the different people to like
Yeah.
a plot, and the tone does shift. So there's some people who don't like that tone shift, but I guess we should back up and talk about and try to summarize this weird little book that is here.
Yeah.
Um, do, do, do you think that you can attempt
I'm just going to read the back.
that?
That's what I'm going to do.
We are special people today, everybody.
We are very special. So it says Cabinet 13 looks exactly like any normal filing cabinet, except this cabinet is filled with files on the symptomers, people whose weird abilities and bizarre experiences might just mark the emergence of a new species. Should I continue on?
Um,
No. Yes?
well, yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting. So basically there's these weird people in the world that have been evolving where other humans have not. So it's I guess it's the question that I had is this evolution or is this like delusion? So are these people really evolving? I mean, or are they sort of deluded in believing their own delusions?
I tend to sway on the side of uh, they're evolving only because other people can see what's going on. And
Sure.
the whole plot is really trying to get more info on these people, and so people know it's not just the symptomer saying this is what's happening to me, but no
Hmm.
one else can see it.
So I guess we should talk about some of the things that these symptomers have. Um, so you have people who like consume gasoline and glass as their main
Hmm.
food sources. People, what were the people that fall asleep? What do they call it? Like the Rip Van Winkle people.
They are
I
called
want to call them trollops. They're not hussies. What do they call them? Those damn trollops.
torpors.
Torpors. I would like to be a torpor. Um, they're Rip Van Winkle people. They go to sleep for periods of time.
It could be
Um,
anywhere from 2 months to 2 years, not eating anything or
mhm.
waking up once.
I mean, given the fact that I haven't slept in 5 days, that would be glorious.
I don't
Um,
know if I want to be one of these people. I just feel like I'd be missing out on a lot.
really?
Yes, I don't want to sleep my life away.
Oh,
I would
Naomi, I the last 2 years, I have participated in enough. I could use a year of sleep.
yes, I get it, but like when I really, really sit down to think about would I really want that, I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
They're different than the people who just lose time, right? Aren't the people that just lose time?
Yeah, that was weird. Losing time freaks me out actually.
That one freaks me out. The sleeping is like, well, at least you get some rest, right?
Well, maybe if
And
it's
maybe
just
it's
two
your
months. I don't want to be asleep for 2 years or even 1 year.
no, but like maybe there is some. So the other question is there any evolutionary benefit to any of this? Like, is there an evolution? Like, because just because you adapt and you develop some sort of adaptation, that's not English, but you know what I mean. Just because you develop some
Hmm.
adaptation doesn't mean that there's an evolutionary advantage. Like that's when outside pressures come in and decide whether it's advantageous and whether it continues on. But these just seem like weird mutations, like sort of like an X-Men thing, but
Right.
not necessarily with a point. Like so you grow a ginkgo tree out of your finger that then
Hmm.
eventually sucks you dry and you die. Does that have an evolutionary advantage? No, because it's killing its host. But
Right.
the people who sleep, like that's the only one that I'm really thinking maybe there is some sort of advantage to having some sort of prolonged hibernation period.
I
But
don't know.
losing time, I would just feel like I lost my mind. And then
Yeah.
are they all actual like adaptations or are some of them actually delusions? Like I still feel like some of them are delusions along the same lines as the guy who wants to become a cat because the girl he loves her cats more than she could ever love anything else. So
Right.
he's trying to make somebody figure out how to make him a cat. If this
Yeah.
is inks, if you are
It
listening to this and you think that we have lost our minds, we have not. It's the book.
it is the book. It is the book. I mean, it's definitely walking that fine line of is this real or not?
Yeah, I mean, there definitely were moments where I just sat there and I thought, okay, so are we in a mental health discussion or are we
But even with every little symptomer, there's somebody or some people to verify that that's true.
Mhm. And it feels
So
like that's Mr. Kong
is the guy that's been
he's the
tasked
office
to look
worker.
after the cabinet. Yeah.
So I mean, those people that are tasked to look after the symptomers, it sounds like they're also tasked to make sure that uh, they aren't delusional. Like the guy who wants to become a cat is in a symptomer because he's just being deluded.
Mhm.
But the guy who falls in love with his doppelganger,
Right.
which by the way, could you have sex with yourself?
I mean, that's just weird on so many levels. Also, I think you have to be a little bit not right up here to
I mean,
engage in that kind of
I
activity.
couldn't have sex with myself because I'm not into women, which just right out of the gate, I just couldn't have sex with myself.
Right.
But if I was into women, could I have sex with myself?
No, I could not. It's still me.
I have a
That's
hard enough
weird.
time listening to myself, in myself, as myself. I don't know.
Oh, and what's the symptomer that had the what was it, a lizard growing in the place of
Yes,
her
with the
tongue?
chimera people, and then
Yeah.
the lizard. Like, there's a lot of body horror
That
in
grossed me
this.
out a
Just
little
so
bit. I
you're
was
aware.
like, that is just I was just thinking about like feeling that texture in my mouth and then like I
Uh
was like,
huh.
oh, this is
Uh huh.
gross. I'm
Uh
grossed out right now.
huh.
You know? Ugh.
Mhm.
And also it was kind of creepy when like she opened up her mouth so that he can see, and they
Mhm.
just saw those glowing eyes looking back at him. I'm like, oh, that is just weird on so many levels. Ugh, gross.
I just highlighted one thing in here that says needs to be a shirt and that's Caspi's phallic toothpicks. Do you remember? I just want a brand like t-shirt that says that so that some random person walking around one day actually gets the reference and is like, "Oh, so you read the cabinet." Like, well, yes,
Right.
I did. It was delightfully strange. But it is like this, like we live in this, so but it does make you think about the fact that like we live in a world where we don't have any pressures to evolve because we've created a world where we don't have to evolve.
Mm.
But eventually, I know that this is me thinking way further out from the actual text of the story, but like eventually, given the state of the world and all the shit that's going on,
Yeah.
we will be forced to evolve. And how is are we just going to go extinct?
Right. Like, what
Did
does
we
that
climb our
look like?
yeah, did we climb to the top of the food chain
Yeah.
to just topple over, and like all great civilizations just end up burning themselves out? Will we burn ourselves out because we have somehow outpaced evolution, so now we just don't evolve?
Right.
Because like maybe we do need to eat glass or drink gasoline, and maybe that's how you survive in a world with poor climate change and
Right.
or with climate change and
And other
poor
disastrous
resources,
environmental.
and you just need to learn to eat non or like inorganic matter.
Mm-hmm.
Though is it oil inorganic matter? It's carbon, so it's organic. But you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
The
it's
the
it's a trip of a book. Let me.
it really is. You know, the other symptomer that I found really interesting and, you know, feels somewhat relevant to today is the modern mosaicers, the ones who flirt with memory.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so modern mosaicers are not satisfied with just forgetting or modifying one or two small memories like their predecessors were. They treat memories like files on a computer, deleting, embellishing, modifying, and syncing them. And I was like, ooh, that feels hella relevant today.
It does. It sounds like what we do all throughout social media. It's like we're constantly reinventing ourselves and removing things in the news, and we live in the world of fake news and
Well, this is what we've been
everything.
doing all throughout history.
We're, but now we're doing it so quickly that
Yeah,
you almost can't tell where fact and fiction, where's the break.
yeah.
The lines start to blur.
Yeah, then it says mosaicers manipulate the past and fool themselves. They erase specific memories and rehash the remaining ones. They
Hmm.
manufacture the present with new memories, and with that present, they reimagine their future. Like, that is so specific and relevant to things
Hmm.
that are happening right now in our world in the United States of America. You know,
Yeah.
flirting with that fine line of what is true and what is made up.
I mean, I think one of my favorite things were these little vignettes between the chapters that were almost like the punchline to the stories. So the end
Mm-hmm.
of that one says, if you had a time machine, would you go back to the year 1998? I would, even though all I can remember from that year is a carrot. Aren't you scared? I am, but when you think about it, there's no time in our lives we haven't been able to endure. And if there was such a time, we wouldn't have made it this far. We live with happy memories, but we also live with unhappy memories. That's the power of loss and ruin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then what does it all mean if all you can remember is a carrot?
Right.
You go back to, because you've modified everything to the point that all you can remember is a carrot.
Right. And what's the purpose in that?
So you go all the way back to 1998, and it turns out that in 1998, maybe it's the worst freaking year of your life. Like,
Yeah. And the only safe thing to remember is a carrot.
is the carrot. You've whittled your thoughts down to a carrot.
Yeah.
What if that
Eh,
carrot's carrot top and that's all you can remember? That would be terrible.
Yeah, it's also, it feels like just a, just not really wanting to ever embrace the truth.
Hmm.
And so you would rather modify it for whatever reason. Um, Maybe the truth is too hard to deal with, maybe it's too hard to bear, maybe it's too uncomfortable, and so you rehash and reimagine and reinvent the truth so that you're more comfortable, and that's scary and dangerous.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like a lot of wouldn't at times we all want to be able to do this if we could? Aren't there moments where if you were in the heat of the moment, you wish you could change your memory to forget that pain or that moment?
I don't really know. I'm very uncomfortable living in an untruth.
Yeah. But if it's an untruth of your own making, is it different? Like if it's an untruth that you're telling yourself as a coping mechanism, does that have different weight than like me just lying to you?
I'm not sure. But even that thought, that makes me uncomfortable. Like lying to myself.
Yeah.
That makes me very uncomfortable. I always feel like, what if one day the truth just comes flooding back in? Then what?
Yeah.
How am I going to deal with that? Because I fooled myself into thinking, quote unquote, horrible things or bad things haven't happened to me.
Mhm.
I think I'm more comfortable living in the bad things that have happened than fooling myself into believing that they didn't happen.
Well, it's
That,
like toxic positivity on steroids.
yeah,
Yeah. Like if you just always think good thoughts, everything is rosy and great.
right.
And you just
P.S.
don't
It's not,
it's
folks.
not. It's not.
Yeah.
I tell you, this would be a great book to read if you take some edibles and read it and then
Oh
discuss it with your
my
friends
gosh.
because it's so freaking crazy.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Because there's just moments. I texted my friend while I was reading it. I was like, "This is delightfully strange." He's
It
like, "That sounds
is.
wonderful. I'm going to get it." I'm like, "You should. This is a you book. You will like this." But I can see where people start to fall off of the story once you move into past all of these people and their various whatevers um in the cabinet,
Mm-hmm.
and you start to get into
The mystery of it all and that other
yeah,
organization
and then
that's
the
involved in.
syndicate or whatever it was
Mm-hmm.
called. You know, and then it starts to become almost like a heisty kind of, not a heist, but like I like a kind of like a Guy Ritchie film where like people are getting their fingers cut off and
Exactly. I mean, it
like
was brutal, right?
yeah, and the tone of the whole story changes. But then isn't wouldn't this be the kind of information that would need to be protected and that you would think that there would be people who would be trying to find it out? Cuz
Absolutely. I didn't feel like it was that. I mean, it was definitely a shift, but it was a shift that felt right because there was still this question even from the beginning of someone else being at play here. Because
yeah.
who's the guy like Mr. Kong was already asking so many questions about these files and he was never getting a straight answer. So something seemed a little
Mhm.
off, a little shady to begin with. So then we finally get to see that there's another organization involved. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, now that clicks. That makes sense.
Yeah, so everything's very secretive.
So it didn't feel off to me.
Yeah. Also, the weird fat phobic pieces, which I guess is not like unheard of in Asian culture in general to have a general dislike of larger humans.
hmm
But that poor coworker who just and they have that dinner where they're just constantly drinking sake and consuming hundreds of pieces of sushi.
Yeah,
It
she
was a
was
little
really
bit
throwing it back. She was. I mean, I did question myself. I was like, why am I so uncomfortable right now?
yeah.
Like I started to feel like I was getting full. It felt very gluttonous
Yeah.
to me. But
It
then I
was.
was
It
like
was
also
it was
checking myself like should I be feeling this way? Like am I being fat phobic or something? Because it was kind of like, okay, that's enough. That's a lot of pieces that's enough.
okay, like maybe
Please
put the
stop.
sushi down.
Right. But I
But I
couldn't
thought it
tell
was
if I was being judgmental or not.
but I thought it was interesting that we kind of bonded over that. And he's like, "Well, I bought like 128 cans of beer and I tried
Right.
whatever it is and attempted to drink it all." So like do we all just do things? Where are you going? You're turning on a light. It's like, where are you going?
This is the wrong light.
Welcome to live shows where Naomi
I
crawls
gotta
across
close
the
my windows. I'm losing my light.
We need to get you
This
a
is bad
light.
light, guys. I'm sorry.
She'll come back. There she is.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. No, but I
Okay.
mean, it definitely became very weird feeling to just sort of watch these two characters just be so gluttonous.
Yeah.
Um, but I also felt so badly for her prior to that because, the rest of her coworkers were so not nice to her, and seemed so fine and sort of commonplace to be rude to the large quiet lady in your office,
Yeah, I think that's very real in a lot of places. I
Yeah.
think that that can happen anywhere. And it's so cruel. It's so cruel, but we've heard plenty of stories
Mhm.
from fat people who've dealt with stuff like that in their workplace,
Mhm.
you know. So, yeah, that part was a lot. But also at the end of it, I was like, "Oh, I would like some sushi now." Hmm.
I could have had some sake at the end of it. I
So
don't
you know
eat
how I
fish,
love sushi.
so sushi for me is not. I just have veggie sushi, so it's not
Yeah.
interesting. I don't get excited about it. I do want to say that in the doppelganger chapter, all I wrote is, "Are we all just narcissists who want to fuck ourselves?"
That's but isn't
But
that like a good question? Even with
yeah,
that, I think about social media, especially when we're in like the beauty space and how
hmm
we transform ourselves to look well, you think you look the same, but you really transform yourself and you look like an elevated version of
yeah,
yourself, and how in
hmm
love you are with yourself. And we
hmm
know that by all the photos you take and post. So it's like we have a doppelganger type of mentality on social media anyway when it comes down to like beauty and
yeah.
how
Well, I
we
mean,
look and how we dress.
yeah. I mean, I will fully admit to being slightly narcissistic when it comes to my own social media platforms, and then I do like rewatch things and make sure like you know I
Yeah,
don't I'm not feeling particularly hot today, and you guys are getting like the best made up version of myself because I haven't
right,
slept in forever. And I also will come on and film an entire video for the channel and be like, I just got home from work and I'm cracked out and I haven't had any sleep and I got no makeup on.
right.
And like, I'm kind of okay with that. And it's kind of, I guess, part of who I am. But there's definitely people who take it to the extreme where they literally could never do that.
No, not at all.
Never. It doesn't matter how excited they are to like unbox something or to do something or
Not
to
at all.
discuss something. They are never. Like there's times where I feel like you put filters on, you do stuff so that because you're just feeling kind of meh about yourself that
Yeah,
day. And you're
totally.
like, I'm putting it on, even if it's a stupid filter, like you're putting it on because you just feel kind of meh, but you want to go on. And then there's I can never,
Yes.
never show myself
And for
the
me,
way
it's
I
about
am.
time, right? I
Hmm.
think about, okay, I want to do this video. I want to do an unboxing on IGTV or whatever for Instagram. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to go upstairs and put on makeup. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to make sure my face isn't ashy and my lips are moisturized, and I'm going to record this video. Now, if I was already out for the day and I had a little bit of makeup on and I wanted to film a video, great. But 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to go through the effort of putting on makeup.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10.
I mean,
Time.
I will if I'm home and like I'm gonna shower and like I'm gonna do all the things. I mean, I'll put some makeup on and then I'll film, but I'll film like a bunch of stuff. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna film. I'm not gonna put makeup on to film one video. or to like make a reel. I'm not going to do that.
Right, right. Like I will put in the effort when we have our mega recording sessions because we're
Mhm.
recording 3, 4 podcasts in a row.
Mhm.
I will slap on a face. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
just for like a 15, 20-minute video,
No.
I'm thinking no.
I
No.
mean, I haven't washed my hair in I don't know how long,
Yeah.
but
Oh, what
we
was
do
this
our
chapter
best.
here?
But I mean, this is kind of what I really liked about this book is that you can look at this and you be like, oh, here's this really weird out there kind of book and these out there stories, and isn't this fun? But if you take a second and you look at it, there's a lot of commentary just
Oh,
on
yes.
basic humanity, modern world,
Oh,
the
yes.
life we're living. And I really want to see what else. And we are looking into one other thing, I think, by this publisher, right?
Yeah, what
For
was it? I
another
forgot
month.
now.
The Magnificent Seven, Maleficent
Oh,
Seven, the something seven.
yes.
Um,
Yes.
but this publisher intrigues me a little bit.
Same.
That because like this seems very outside from like or different from some
Their
of
other
the other
stuff.
things that they're publishing. But like, are they really? Because like this definitely has a sci-fi fantasy bent,
It is.
but it feels a lot more like literary
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sci-fi, if that's even a genre, than like fantasy sci-fi,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
It's
I don't
got a
know if
little
that
bit of
makes any sense.
everything in there. Yeah, so maybe not so different from what they publish, but yeah, you're right. That is
Yeah, but
that is
there's
an
just something
interesting
about it that
publisher.
in your like at first thought, I was like looking at the rest of their catalog when I first started reading this, and then I'm like, this seems like it falls outside of the rest of their stuff, but maybe it doesn't. Like maybe, and this the publisher is Angry Robot Books, and they're definitely a smaller publisher, and that they seem to have some interesting things in their little catalog of goodies. I don't know why like this helped me.
Yeah, yeah,
So
for sure. I'm glad you found this book.
where did I? Oh, you know who? So I was watching this lady on YouTube, and I'm gonna try to find her now for you, so I can get her because she's changed her name a few times.
Mm,
She's this British lady, and she has the most fantastic posh accent, which I cannot do.
I
I think her
love
name is
it.
like Chinsia, and
I love
but
it.
her, it's like the God, what the fuck is her? It's like the literary library, the library.
Well, I love this book so much. I even bought his other book called, what is it called? The Unplotters? The
The
Unplotter?
Lady of the Library is the name of the channel.
Oh,
She
okay.
is she has the most magnificent accent. I guess she was also an actress, so she has this very polished, very posh,
Oh, I
very
love that.
articulate British accent, and it
Yeah.
is just very soothing. But she is also a PhD student. She reads and studies a lot of classic literature because that's what her PhD is in. But she's got all kinds of stuff on her channel, but there is obviously the book stuff on her channel.
Yeah.
And she was going through a bunch of books she does like something at the end of the year with like the books that made my year or whatever, and she talks
Mm-hmm.
about a few of the outstanding books that she read, and this was one of them. That Tomb of Sands book I sent you was on there, and there were a couple
Mm-hmm.
other things that I sent to in that same time period that
Yeah.
because they all were just I'd never heard of them. They all sounded fantastic, and I think they were all translated,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like yes.
Yeah.
And I just kept sending you things. There's like one night I just kept sending you titles because I just kept watching things. I was like,
I
no,
love when you
but
do
this,
that,
but this,
especially if
but
I
this,
haven't heard of
but
them.
this, but this. And I'd never seen or heard of any of these. Like I never would have seen The Cabinet
I've never
if I
seen it.
hadn't watched that one particular video. And that's why, to harken back on our discussion about TikTok, that is why, for me, TikTok is not the platform, or short form videos are not the platform for me to find books, because
Right.
the reason that I was interested in this was because somebody took the time, and time being more than 60 seconds, to
Mm-hmm.
discuss a book and get me hooked on it.
Yes.
And when
Yes.
you're talking about books, I feel like you need more than 60 seconds.
Yes.
If you're talking about clothes, if you're talking about makeup, if you're talking about very visual things, I don't think you need more than 60 seconds to maybe get someone intrigued.
Or if you're just like, hey, here's a book mail I got.
Yeah.
Short form, totally
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
But to try to compel someone to read a book, it needs to be a little bit more than that
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
But we live in a very, well, everybody's reading it, so I'll read it kind of a world. So I think for a good
Also, I
number of
think
people, it's enough
short
for them.
attention short attention spans,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is interesting when you also combine that with readers, because readers don't have short
Isn't
attention
it?
spans.
It's so
It's a
funny, right?
very weird little, I
Dichotomy.
don't know, foible, like,
Yeah.
that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mm,
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how his other book is. I love when we
yeah,
find a book that we love and really get into the author and they have other stuff
and
for us.
I love when we pick these books. I'm glad we're doing the lives again. I know that this is not like a well attended live, but if you're there, say hi. But I like when we pick random books that no one's ever really been talking about, or at least doesn't talk about a
Yes.
lot. And I don't know if it's the algorithm or if it's the algorithm and people start, like, once you start getting people like who was somebody, it was in my feed randomly, and they were talking about this book because they had just gotten it. And I don't know if it's the algorithm pulling together people or what, but it's nice to see
Mm-hmm.
these outliers start to get pulled in and getting
Yes.
people to talk about it. I don't think that you or I are really like significantly changing the landscape. It would be nice if we were.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, once you start talking about these things, all these things that listen to us and do
Mm-hmm.
stuff, they start pulling
Yes.
stuff up for us. And it's nice to get, as much as I want to read Sarah J. Maas, I don't just want to read Sarah J. Maas, and I don't want to just
Right.
hear about it all the time. I want to see other things.
It's funny, since we chose this book for our January pick, I have seen like a handful
Hmm.
of Instagram posts where people have posted about this book or posted about their bookshop.org page and they have this book in their store.
Yeah. And I never saw that before we
No,
started talking about this. And it's
no.
probably partially the algorithm pulling things into our front of our faces, trying to get us to connect with, content and all of that.
It's true because I'm getting more people in my feed that read a lot of translated fiction,
Yes, and I'm
which
loving it.
I'm really enjoying.
I'm
So
absolutely
I'm
loving it.
same, same.
I'm trying to make, so I've been cutting down on my engagement groups a lot. So like my engagement on Instagram has been taking a hit. But then it's also been coming back in other ways. So I've been slowly taking out engagement groups so that it's not just like one big wallop, but then making a concerted effort into actually engaging with content that
Yeah,
I really enjoy so that I can actually cultivate a little area of the internet that feeds my likes.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
I gave up on the engagement groups a while ago, but only because I just it's so hard to tell. I want to see who's commenting or liking or sharing on their own when it's not
Yeah.
forced. So that was really starting to bother me. It's like I can't tell where these people came from. And
Yeah.
also I got tired of like
At
doing
the end
all
of
that
the
every
night being
day.
like, shit, I got to do all this. Yeah.
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 So yeah. I had at
Yeah.
first I had gone from like, I don't know, 4 groups to like one. And the one that I still belong to, I don't even tag it. The BIPOC Bookstagram.
Hmm.
I'm just like, "Ugh, yeah, whatever.
I just think, like, I think at the beginning, I cared a lot more about numbers and growth, because when you're really, not that I'm big, but like when you're small and you kind of, you want people to see your stuff. And now I know there are people that see my stuff and genuinely look at it. Even if there's only like 4 of them, I know there are people who
Mm-hmm.
genuinely see what I'm posting and like it. And I don't care as much. And the
Yeah,
fact that there are brands that want to work with me,
exactly.
then that means that I'm doing something right. Like,
Exactly.
even if it's in a tiny little niche pocket group, I'm doing something right. So,
Exactly. That's
and
how I
that's all
look at it.
I really care about at this point. So, but
Yeah.
read this stupid book.
Read it. Read it. So
Sorry.
good. The
We're
Cabinet by
normally a lot
Unsue
more
Kim.
lively, but we are not lively today. This
Sorry,
was
folks. I feel like hot garbage, and I just keep steadily going down,
and
down,
down and
down.
down and down.
My
Well, let's put
entire
Naomi
body
out of
hurts.
her poor misery. We're at 45 minutes here. Let's put her out of her misery.
We got one more thing, and that's our book recommendation and the show book
Mhm.
recommendation.
Mhm.
We love recommending books to
We
y'all.
do. We
You
love
want to
it.
go since I went first at the top of the
Yeah,
show?
I can go. I can go. I think I've recommended this before. Actually, I know I've recommended this before for like I think chunky books, but I'm going to
God, that book was
recommend
so fun to
Imaginary
read.
Friends
Oh,
because I just happened to see it on my shelf as I was like literally it was like the first book I saw when I was like, "Oh, I need to pick a recommendation." I was like, "We need to circle back to this because this
yes,
book
we
is just
do.
so good." I was reading something else recently that I think talked about deer, and I wish I could remember what it was. But every time I see something about deer, I immediately just start thinking
Or
about this
plastic
book.
bags.
Mhm. And I mean, this is a total departure from Perks of Being a Wallflower, which I also absolutely loved, and
Never read
I
it.
find I find it interesting because like that came out when I was the age group that was being discussed, and I find
Yeah.
it interesting that how many people are still find like that's still resonating with them, and we're got like a decade or so between us, so I still find that very interesting, and maybe it's because they made it a movie with after I was too old to go watch the movie
Mm-hmm.
but like um but yeah, this is fantastic horror. I don't even know how to describe it, but you just need to go. There's a little kid, there's like creepiness, there's a creepy bag, there's creepy deer, there's religiousness all
Uh-huh.
throughout that it just makes you really uncomfortable. And there's a fantastic single mom.
Mm-hmm.
She is wonderful, and it's a trip. That I will say, my only it's not a 5-star read for me because I do think it could have been about 100 pages shorter. I think there's a little repetitiveness somewhere in the middle, but if you just keep going, just keep going
I
because
will
it's worth it in the end.
I will say this. If you can buddy read this with a group of friends, because this is what we did.
Yes.
We buddy read this with about, I don't know, 5 or 6 friends. And it
Mm-hmm.
was one of the most fun buddy reads we ever had. Each one of us was slowly becoming addicted to this book
Uh-huh.
and just could not put it down. And it
Mm-hmm.
was just so much fun to read about and talk about in our chat. That was a fun buddy read. So if you can
And to
gather some
send each other
friends,
pictures of deer.
right, if you can gather up some friends and read it with them, I highly recommend you do that.
Yeah, it's a good time. So if you're looking for like a good horror kind of book that's actually written well and isn't Stephen King.
Right,
Kind of shit on
right,
Stephen King. Just go with it. It's me. Um,
right,
read this.
right. So
Are
I'm
you
on a
okay?
live. My daughter FaceTime me.
Oh, look, it's live. This is the stuff that happens live.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right.
We're
Folks out
live,
there who are
folks.
considering having children, just know, I don't care how old they get, they're always going to blow your phone up. Always.
Um, I don't know if I call my parents.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Never mind, folks.
I mean, I have a standing call with my dad every week, and we text all the time.
Right.
But I don't really
Right.
call anybody. I don't have to.
I probably talk to my daughters like 4 or 5 times, 6 times a week. I talk to my mom like every other day.
What do you have to say?
Whatever. And then we've got our family group chat, which is just ridiculous and crazy.
We have different families. Is clearly what's happening here.
Oh, well, anyway, is it my turn to share?
It is your turn to share. I talk to you every day, and I talk to Jesus every day, and I
Yeah.
talk to my brother every day.
Yeah, see? So this week, no, last week, I think, you all know that I love Elena Ferrante.
Do you?
I
You've never talked about her. Not
I
once.
never look, I'm gonna be like a repeated drum roll person. I was at the library
Keep it a
last
broken
month.
record.
Oh yeah, thank you. Sorry.
Repeated drum roll person.
I am literally burning up from the inside. I swear to goodness. I am so hot.
We need to get
So
you off of this lie.
I know, get me off of this live. So I went to the library last month and picked up a bunch of books, and I saw The Days of Abandonment by Elena Ferrante.
Oh
It's
yeah, I
very
forgot you read
short.
that.
Man, let me tell you something. I love her. This book was
When she sings it,
fantastic.
it's real.
It's like when I finished, I just stared out of my window, just like, how how does she do it? So this is about a married couple. They have one child, and he leaves her. And this is another one where I have to be careful about what I say because I don't want to spoil the surprises in this book. But they're married. They've been married for a while. They've got one child, and he leaves her. At first, she doesn't really believe it because he's left her in the past. A month here, a few months there. He's always been kind of shaky, not on solid ground about them being together. So she just thought this was like any other time where he may leave for a short while, but he comes back. But this time it's final.
Mm-hmm.
And why I love this book is because it was very grown up. She was you can see her going through all of the emotional phases you go through when your marriage has been broken, when your marriage breaks. That you go through, why wasn't I enough? What was it
Ugh.
that I was unable to do to make my
Mm-hmm.
marriage stick and to make it last?
Mm-hmm.
You're dissecting everything, trying to think about your marriage from day one to the current time, and try to
Like,
figure out
what did I
what went
miss?
wrong. What went
Yeah.
wrong? How did I miss it? And then
Mm-hmm.
you go into rage. You're thinking
Mm-hmm.
about what he may be doing with other people, and you're up at night thinking about all of that because you can't get that out of your head. And you can just see her just like slowly declining. I'm sorry, they have two kids. They have a boy and a girl. Slowly declining, just like mentally.
There is
She's
a descent into madness when your
yeah,
marriage
she's
breaks
less
down.
attentive to her children.
Yeah.
She's meaner to her children. She's calling their friends, grilling them about, well, did you know? Did he talk to? I mean, it was very grown because this is like what
Did she
really
write this about my divorce and added two children? Is that because that's what it sounds like?
it was really, really good. But to see her go through this very long journey of being left into finding her own footing, I just thought was done so brilliantly. I really do. You
What
got
was
to
it
read
called
this book,
again?
The
The
Days of
Days of
Abandonment.
Abandonment.
And again, this is one of those books I couldn't stop listening to it. I mean, I couldn't put it down. I could not put it down.
I'm gonna have to read it.
It was just so good. And let me tell you, I just wanted to punch her husband in the face so hard. Oh, he just really made me angry. One of those guys where he's, like, I'm just not good enough for you. And, I've got all these issues. This is why we can't be together. Oh, it was just like,
It's available to listen to.
listen to it.
Didn't I just say I'm gonna
It-
focus on my TBR? Well,
but you
it's
know what?
only
This
8 hours. It's
it's
small.
so short.
It's
It's so
small.
short. And also only if you're not going to get triggered. I know this is only
Well,
if you
we'll
feel
find
okay.
out. I could get triggered. I don't know. Maybe I'll send an
Yeah.
angry email to my. No, I won't do that. I
No,
won't do
don't do that. But it is written so well. I love her. So I said to myself, because after I read this, I went online and I like every available book of hers that I could thrift, I put it in my shopping cart. And I was like, no, 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 you must finish the Neapolitan novels first. And
Mhm.
then you could treat yourself to buying all the other books that she's written. But that's the kind of author she is. You want all of her books in your possession right away. That's
Yeah.
how I feel. I want all of them in my possession.
Yeah.
Elena
Well,
Ferrante, The Days of
I didn't.
Abandonment.
I've already. I borrowed the from the. I don't know why it's showing you my dog's. It says that I borrowed it from the library, but I borrowed it from the library, so I shall listen to
Yes.
it.
Yes.
And I will try not to get triggered. I probably won't get triggered. I'll probably just relate a lot
Yeah.
because it sounds like the only difference is you added children instead of dogs.
Right. There's a dog too.
Oh, okay, great.
They
So
do
it'll
have
be
a
like
dog.
that. Yeah.
So anyway, it was really, really, really great. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's it.
Read the books. Read all the books.
Read all the books.
Yeah, definitely read The Covenant. We will be more lively for the February live show, which we should probably figure out shortly because I think I have my March schedule now, so we can pick a time in the
Oh,
beginning of
good.
March. and schedule that. And now that we understand the logistics of doing this,
Yes.
we can get that all
Right.
teed up. I am a little nervous for Giovanni's room, only from one picture that somebody put up while they were reading it, where on one page they underlined the name Giovanni being said like 17 times. Like
Oh.
every few words was just Giovanni. And now I don't know if this becomes sort of repetitive and almost
I'm not worried. I've heard
like in a lyrical way where you're just like, or if it becomes like too many dialogue tags.
I've heard entirely too many outstanding reviews about this book and how it's written, so I'm not worried.
Okay, so
So
I'm gonna
join
hold
in,
on to
folks.
that
It's
faith. There was
today
just
is
something I didn't read what anybody said. I just saw that picture. I was like, oh no, oh
right.
no. I hope this doesn't mean oh no.
So this is February 16th. Join us. It's not too late. We're reading Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin this month. Join
hmm
us. It's going to be a good time. It's
And
going to be a good time.
what's our March pick?
And our March pick is Homegoing
Oh
by,
yes,
say the name.
Yagiasi.
There you go.
Yagiasi.
There you go.
Yes, yes, yes. Join
So,
us for that one as well. Get your hands on it. So in March we will start that one, and yeah, we're gonna get back into the swing of live shows.
yes.
We are figuring ourselves out. We will get there. Thank you for
We're going to get there.
enjoying the bumpy road. That is
Yes.
live show 1 of 2022.
Yes. Thanks for tuning in and all the replay people. Yay!
Yay! Yes. If you give us a like and if you're watching the replay, say hello so we can say hi back to you.
Yeah, leave a comment.
Otherwise, we're gonna let Naomi go burn up in her castle because
Yeah.
she is not feeling well.
I am not. I am
She
not.
is not well.
I am not. But we were going to do this live because we already had to
Yes.
reschedule it once. We were going to do
Yes.
this live.
Yes.
So I'm proud of us for getting through it.
Me too.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.